Tim Cox spent 25 years creating innovative solutions in the high-tech world. He developed software for a spy satellite, helped build the first credit card reading gas pump, and created systems that helped Dell grow to a $55 billion Fortune 25 giant. In 2007, Tim walked away from a lucrative career in the tech industry to create Go, a system designed to elect true citizen representatives to the United States House of Representatives. GOH is spelled G-O-O-O-H, by the way. Tim seeks a House of Representatives unfettered by special interest groups and not filled with career politicians. To outline his plan, he released Get Out of Our House Revolution. The plan is to evict career politicians, all 435 of them if necessary, and replace them with ordinary Americans chosen by we the people. Tim received a bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Texas at Austin and a master's in business administration from St. Edward's University. Tim Cox, welcome to Global Freedom Report.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. You developed software for a spy satellite. I have to ask, what insights did you gain while working on that project? Is there anything you can tell us that would help in, say, defeating spy satellite technology if and when it is used against our freedoms?
No, unfortunately, those satellites see anything and everything they want to see, even through the cover of clouds. So I'll tell everybody out, all the little spy magazines and stuff that you might have read or heard about are largely true.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, what technology can create, technology can generally defend against. So, I mean, is there some kind of shield or reflector or some device that we might design that would keep our privacy intact?
Absolutely, but I don't think you want to do it. When we were developing the software, we literally worked in a room that had lead walls, lead ceiling, so that you could emission get out or, you know, see through. And I mean, it's just the technology, you know, it's like a magical X-ray machine, if you will. So I guess you could put a lead shield around your house and you'd be safe. But beyond that, I don't know enough to say, well, what we could do to keep them from watching if they want to watch.
Well, somebody out there, come on, we got physicists out there in the audience. Somebody out there will one day come up with a simple idea. What prompted you to walk away from a lucrative high-tech career with a Fortune 25 company in order to establish a political activist organization?
Well, there's a long story, but I'll give you the short one. The short version is I was completely fed up with everything that was going on in Washington back in 2005. The spending, the debt at the time was at $6 trillion, which to me was just, mind-numbing. But the borders that leak like a sieve, an education system that fails 30% of our kids, a 76,000-page tax code. It's just maddening to me. One day I heard this poll on the radio. It said 85% of Americans disapprove of the job Congress is doing, yet 95% of all incumbents get reelected every 2 years. And I kind of went off in a way that I wouldn't normally do. My son was sitting in a pickup truck next to me. He looked up at me and he said, "Hey, Dad, you're supposed to be a smart guy. You tell us not to complain about stuff. Why don't you go fix it?" And it really rang true. And I said, you know what? I think you're right. And I sat down and I said, there's got to be a way to change what's going on in the government here in America, where these corrupt politics are about to bankrupt this nation the world has ever known.
But still, it's definitely a statement of courage that you would step away from essentially, I mean, a very lucrative career in high tech into, shall we say, a dubious new career in political activism.
There's no question about that. And the longer version of the story is, I think everything happens in life for a reason, and we all have a purpose for being here. And I think this is my purpose. That I firmly believe that I was put here to build this system that's going to let people like the ones listening to this very show go to Washington and turn this nation around before it's too late.
Which, of course, is, that's the dream of so many people, that we'd like to get things working the way they're supposed to work. Originally, Congress was not supposed to be a full-time position. You were supposed to go to Congress and serve your, several months or whatever, terms in Congress, and then go back to your farm or your ranch or your practice or whatever it is you did for a living. It was never intended that Congress would be there as a career for anybody.
You're absolutely right. In fact, for the first 50 years of our nation, the average tenure 3 years. Right? People went up there and they served 1 or 2 terms, and then they either became senators or governors, or they went back to their ranch or farm, as you suggested. And that's exactly what our founding fathers intended. It was never intended to be a career. And in fact, one of the reasons they did not pay so lucratively, for those first 150 years is they didn't want career politicians up there. But what's happened over time, and we've all seen it, is the politicians have kind of morphed the system into one that serves them and their constituents more than it does the people.
In, 100 words or less, what's wrong with the current state of representation in the U.S. House?
The people in Washington do not represent you and I or the listeners. They represent their political party. They represent the special interest groups that fund them, and they represent their own political career. And that's the reason they will not do the work that needs to be done. They're more interested in serving those 3 groups than serving the people they're supposed to be representing.
Wow, you really did do it in less than 100 words. I'm impressed. In your publication, Get Out of Our House Revolution, you address key issues that current House members have neglected. What are some of those issues?
Yeah, there's dozens, but let me give you a few examples. Things like the Federal Department of Education, formed in 1972 when the high school graduation rate in America was 70.2%. Here we are 38 years later, the graduation rate is effectively the same at 70.8%, yet they have a $65 billion budget. By every survey taken, by every poll that I've ever seen, 80% or more of the people in this country want to abolish the Federal Department of Education because it doesn't work, it doesn't protect the children, it protects the teachers. Yet no politician even wants to put that on the table because they do not want to offend teachers, they do not want to offend the teacher unions. It's just blatantly wrong that we would continue to support a failing system like that year after year. Another example would be the tax code. We have a 76,000-page tax code. Ridiculous. Nobody understands that thing from beginning to end. The head of the IRS, right, the head of the money system guy up there, Timothy Geithner, right, he can't even figure out how much to pay in his taxes. Charles Rangel has evaded taxes. It's so complex that nobody knows how to do this, or people are corrupt or they're encouraged to be corrupt, go around the system. We don't need anything really that complex. There's fair taxes and flat tax and dozens of other ideas. Nobody in America, I shouldn't say nobody, very, very few people in America support that current system, yet the politicians will never tackle that problem because they don't want to give up their ability to write special laws that reward the lobbyists and the special interest groups that fund their campaign. The system has been structured in such a way that the politicians, even if they wanted to address that issue, they could not because they couldn't raise the money they need to get reelected, and the other party would use it against them. And I could go on down the list. We could talk about borders and illegal immigration. We could talk about things like Social Security and Medicare. There's so many issues that politicians will not address because they know the other party will use those issues against them to take power.
Well, and that is a problem. The problem is that everybody's afraid of, like you said, offending somebody. And the truth is that if you are living, just take it, let's say you're living in a house, just a house, and maybe there's just 4 or 5 of you in the house, and every one of you is afraid of offending somebody. You're going to be walking on eggshells everything you do. I mean, everything. The words out of your mouth, who you talk to, when you say things, what you say, you're going to be watching it because you're afraid of offending. That's only a house of 4 or 5 people. When you have a house of 435 people and you're trying not to offend anybody, it basically, you can't say anything, you can't do anything. Where did we get into this afraid of offending attitude?
Well, I mean, the political correctness police have been out there forever, and a lot of it was justified, right? I mean, there are many people that, will say bigoted or racist or other type things that, are just completely inappropriate. So there has been some positive movement, but people are not willing to address the serious issues. A great example would be the retirement age. It was set at 65 back in the 40s, when life expectancy said most people would pass away by the time they were 65, and we had 42 people paying into a system for one, for every one that was taking out. And now life expectancy is in the 70s, yet we don't want to raise the retirement age because nobody wants to lose that senior citizen vote. And where we got there was when the system became so partisan, and one party, and I don't care which party you support, one party will use anything that somebody does as a wedge to take votes away from them. If the Democrats or the Republicans said, I'm going to raise the retirement age, everybody that's listening knows exactly what the other party would do, and they would use that to ensure that their party got back in power. And because of that, nobody can do anything that's politically correct or anything that's for the good of the country. They have to do what's for the good of their getting reelected, and that's where we went wrong.
And as you say it, what comes up for me is, let's throw the bums out, which is exactly what you're seeking to do here. You created GOH, which stands for Get Out of Our House, GOOH, to provide a forum for raising popular challenges to House seats, popular being among the population. What progress towards its lofty goal has this organization made to date?
Well, to date, we've had 2.25 million people visit our website, the GOOH.com. And you got to get 3 O's in there. 2.25 million people. So folks know about us. We have almost coming up on 100,000 members who have signed up and said that they would participate in our candidate selection process. We'll actually begin this selection process in about 4 weeks in Texas, of all states. We'll run the process approximately a month before the filing deadline in each state. And what we'll do is we'll have the members of each congressional district choose a single person that will become the candidate to compete with the incumbent in the primaries. We think candidates are vulnerable in the primaries, and what we want to do is create honest competition in all 435 congressional races. We admit and accept that there are some good people up there, and they'll probably still beat our candidates, but we think everybody becomes better if you have fair competition, and the political system they've done everything they can to discourage competition. So tremendous progress, 95,000 members coming up on 100, and we will start selecting candidates to compete in about a month.
Now, okay, so how does it actually work? In other words, at first, who are the members? And how many members are there? And is it the members that select the candidates? Take me through the process.
Yeah, so what we want is every person to go to our website and become a member, and it takes only an email address to become a member. And then we ask you to complete a questionnaire and document how you personally would vote if you were in office. And we understand most people have no interest in going to Washington. That's not the point. We want you to think through each and every one of these questions and document how you would vote. Well, what we'll do is we'll take all of the members in your district. Let's say you have 250 members in your congressional district. They'll show up on a Saturday, a month before your filing deadline, and they'll be sorted randomly into pools of 10. And each group of 10 will sit down, and among themselves, they will choose 2 people to represent that group of 10. They'll look at the answers to the questions. They'll ask, would you be willing to serve? They'll consider your communication skills. Whatever they want, each group of 10 will choose 2. The 2 that are chosen would advance. The next weekend, you'd have new but fewer pools of 10 with those that have advanced, and each of those pools would choose 10. And you repeat that process until the final group of 10 chooses one person to become the candidate for their congressional district. So every district, all 435 in the country, will be going through this process to find that one person that they want to run for Congress.
And how long will the process take from the first selection of 10 to the final selection?
Just a couple of weeks. It's a function of how many people are participating. In the example, if you had 250 people exactly, you would go through 3 rounds, so it would take no more than 3 weeks to do that.
One of the biggest
each of the rounds.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Each of the rounds, groups of 10, that takes just a couple of hours on one day to go through that process.
Now, okay, wait. Before I get to my next question, it occurs to me now. What about the counting of the? How are the ballots registered? If they're done electronically, they're subject to being hacked. And how do you essentially make sure that the final count is valid, is actually representative?
Yeah, so each of these groups of 10, right, when you're sorted into your group of 10, you'll go through and all of the people will interview each of the other people, and the group will be voting collectively right there, and that group of 10 will decide who are the 2 people in our group that would advance to the next round. So there's no outside voting or electronic voting. It's the group of 10 sitting right there following the process, the GO process that we documented, and they can go through and choose those two. We run what we call mock selection sessions online. You can actually go to our website and sign up and participate via phone with other people in these mock sessions. We run them all the time. Or you can download the material and go through the exercise with your group. It's a fun and entertaining event. We've ran this over 4,000 times around the country, and we'd encourage everybody out there that's listening to give this a try.
One of the biggest obstacles to citizen representation is how expensive it has become to conduct a campaign for federal office. How does GO address that obstacle?
Yeah, it's a tremendous problem. The average seat, if you go run against somebody one-on-one, you need $1 million or more to compete with one of these incumbents. So what we tried to do with GO is completely change the dynamics of that. What we've said for over 4 years, we've told all of our members, we don't want or need your money. We have all the funding that we need. My wife and I have been blessed to work in the right place at the right time, and we said we would fund this for ourselves as long as we needed to. Now, people have been sending in money, and we've asked people recently, go ahead and start sending in $100. We're asking every member that's out there to send in $100, and we will pool that money, and the funds that we raise we will use to buy advertising time, get our message out to other people, and let them know about this citizen selection process. We believe if we can get hundreds of thousands of members that will send in that $100, we can raise all the funds that we need, because we don't think we need anywhere near $1 million per district. All we need to do is let the people of America know that there's a new choice, a citizen candidate. It's a fact that 90% of us would like to fire Congress. We just need to show them that now there's an option.
Now, I read through some of the supporting material at GO, and there was one document that said that the $100 would not be requested until you had 500,000 members as part of the system. Have you reached that point?
We did not have 500,000 members, and what we said early on for the first 4 years was we would not ask for that money until we're there. We've got to the point now where we need to run with the debt at 15 trillion on its way to 20. We said we've got to run 2012. So what we're doing is we're asking the folks that are willing to donate now to go ahead and send in their money, and we'll go as far as we can with what we can raise.
You asked some interesting questions in the GO application for membership. Now, there are 4 of them right here. I just want to quickly go through them. Will you vote for or against the line item veto? I would be against it because there's nothing in the Constitution that authorizes it. Will you vote for or against the balanced budget amendment? I think it would be a great idea to actually have an amendment to the Constitution for a balanced budget, so I'd be in favor of that. Will you vote for or against the fair tax? Every single fair tax piece of legislation I have seen does not dismantle the Internal Revenue Service, does not stop the graduated income tax type system. Therefore, I am opposed to every fair tax. I want the complete elimination of the income tax, which does not stay in our country. That money goes to the foreign bankers. And 4, will you vote for or against the creation of a national health care system? Everybody who listens to this knows how I feel about that. Again, there's nothing in the Constitution that allows government to operate a health care system. I'd be opposed to it. So, you just heard my 4 answers. How did I do?
So what I say is what I think how you did is completely irrelevant, right? We don't tell anybody how to answer any question. What we want you to do is answer the questions just like you did, right? That was very easy. And when you sit down in your pool of 10, the other 9 people will look at your answers and say, boy, would I want, Brent or Mary or Joe or whoever going to represent? And that's all we're trying to do is get you to answer these questions from your heart in these mock sessions and these selection sessions. You debate and discuss these issues with your peers so that you can figure out who you want to vote for. We don't want somebody that raises their hand and says, hey, vote for me. I'm a good-looking guy, and I'm articulate, and I'll tell you later how I'll vote once I get up there and figure it out. We're saying put it in writing, how you vote, and then let people choose you based on that and based on your willingness to serve and the other traits that they deem important.
I like this. What do you think, folks? I really like this. www.GOOOH.com. There's 3 O's. That's not zeros. Those are the letter O. www.GOOOH.com. And by the way, there's still time. If any of you have a question for Tim Cox about this issue, now's the time to call 888-747-1968. 888-747-1968, or, of course, in our live chat room at globalfreedomreport.com. Does GO, as an organization, have any specific positions that it takes on key issues, or is it just the forum to bring together the citizen representatives?
It's really the latter, right? GO is a process to let the members choose a candidate. The only issue that we've taken a position on is we said that our candidates must support term limits if it comes up for vote. What we're looking for is people that will support the idea of representatives instead of career politicians. People that say, oh, well, I like term limits. I think it should be 12 terms. We think they're just more career politicians or, whatever the number is. So that's the only issue that we want people to be firm on, is to support term limits until we can fix the underlying problems, get back to a representative government.
I don't know if you knew her, or if you remember her, the late Helen Chenoweth. She was the congressional representative from Montana, and she was really, really one of the good guys. She was magnificent. And when she first was elected in Congress, she made a promise to her constituents. If you elect me to Congress, I promise I will only serve 2 terms, and then I will leave. So she was elected. She was elected again. She served her second term. Everybody wanted her to continue in Congress. All of her constituents wanted her to continue in Congress. She resigned from Congress because she kept her word. The problem, of course, is that the people who keep their word end up out of Congress, and the liars and the cheats end up staying there forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why we're trying to fix the underlying system. Like, we want all of these folks to go and serve their 2 terms, but we want to change the process so that we could have that replacement ready to get back in. The next person in line, there's 700,000 people in each congressional district. Out of those 700,000, we can find more than one person that can do this job. The challenge is we've got to change the way we identify candidates, and we've got to change the way that they have to raise and compete so that a normal person would want to do it. Just say we attract the wrong people. And the example you gave, I wish that she would have went and ran for Senate, or she would have ran for governor. That's the way we need to reward the people that are really good, and that's what our founding fathers intended.
Who controls the money? Now, I mean, I understand you don't have 500,000 members here and everything, but regardless of what you have, I mean, even if you did have 500,000 members, $100 a pop is $50 million. You have 100,000, that's $10 million. $100 a pop can be a lot of money. Who controls the money when it comes in? How do you know what money goes to what campaigns?
So what we've done is read this up on our website under the Donate tab. All the funds come in. I am the guy that is responsible with the FEC. We file and report every donation and every expense that we have, and so it ultimately comes through me. And if any one person's responsible, it is I. Our intention is to take the funds that are coming in and use those first to build those so that we have enough people that when the $100 start coming in from hundreds of thousands of people, we can hire an organization, that will manage these funds for us. But right now we're kind of a bootstrap operation, and it's an all-volunteer force doing the best we can with the folks that we have.
Now, the second half of that question is, as you build, as you get more and more members and then more and more candidates that you put forward, how do you know how much money goes to which candidate?
Our intention is to split the money evenly, kind of a like for like. So, yard signs, everybody gets the same number of yard signs, and hats and business cards and all of those. The advertising dollars, what we intend to do is let each candidate receive funding for an equal number of ads. Now, we know that an ad in New York is going to cost more than an ad in Montana.
Exactly.
Right. So you're going to have to allocate the dollars a little differently that way. However, we want the same number of ads. So if you're in Montana and the budget says we can have 42 ads per candidate, right, the guy in New York's going to get more dollars for the radio ads than the guy in Montana, but the number of ads should be the same. And that's the way we intend to, spread the funds. Now, be real clear, until we raise enough funds, this is more about recruiting more members and getting to that point where we have enough people contributing. We think we can take money off the table if we can reach those 90% of people that say they want to fire Congress. So our challenge is to get this big snowball that we've been pushing uphill for 4 years to start rolling downhill. Once we find that proverbial tipping point, we think we'll have all the funds we need for all the candidates that we have.
And I think you've got a very well thought out system. I'm quite impressed with what I've heard so far. How do people learn more about GO, sign up for membership, and become more directly involved in your efforts to replace vested interest politicians with citizen representatives?
The main thing we want is everybody to go to the website, GOOH.com, go.com, and sign up, and that takes only your email address. We'll send you a notice as you kind of get involved. If you're willing to take a leadership position in your district, we'll offer for you to do that. We're looking for people to step up and, build that team in their district and get us to 250 members. This is a pure grassroots organization building from the bottom up, and we need people listening right now to say, I understand the politicians are destroying this country. I want to get involved. I want to help. Go sign up and send us a note, and we'll put you to work.
There you go, folks. We're giving you another thing that you can do. Don't tell me there's nothing I can do. Here's something you can do. Go to www.GOOH.com. Tim Cox, thanks so much for spending this time. Thank you for abandoning your high-tech career and showing that there are some things more important than money. Good luck and the best of fortune with you.
Thank you.